Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anders from Finland, and in this video I'm going to show you my first ever modern Swiss watch, which is this, the previous generation Oris Aquis Date 43mm. So first off, a quick unboxing to show you what's in the full set, and after that a review and opinions on the watch and what you're getting. Let's get to the video. Alright, let's start with the unboxing. I'm not going to spend too much time on the unboxing because I know the watch is of course the most important and interesting aspect, so just to have a quick look at what's in the full set. So, pretty substantial Oris box. Lift off the top, lid falls off here, pull out a box which is signed Oris. Watch is of course in there, and pull out the manual with also embossed Oris branding. And in here we have of course the manual in several languages, list of international service centers, and a guarantee card. You get a three-year warranty on this watch if you register it to Oris website. So that's that. Now the interesting box. Pop the lid and there it is. A black Oris Aquis Date 43mm in all its glory. Really nice box for what it's worth. It's I don't know if it's real or synthetic leather, but everything just about this packaging says quality, in my opinion. I'm used to Seiko's and Seiko's boxes and stuff, so of course it's gonna be a big difference. Let's get the watch out of the box and start going through the watch. Goes without saying that this is a big substantial watch, even more so than the newer generation. I removed 3 links and it still weighs in at about 182 grams, so I measured the extra links. It totals up to a little bit over 200 grams, so this watch has some real presence on the wrist. So be prepared for having a heavy piece of metal on your wrist if you're getting this watch. And by the way, I'm wearing a new watch today, just received this yesterday. It's a new take on retro Casio, and I think this is even better than the one I reviewed in my last video. I'll see if I can provide a link to my last video here in this video, not sure. But anyway, it's a little bit more of a modern take on a classic Casio and with a little bit more of a substantial presence on the wrist. Anyways, back to the Oris. Okay, many of you are probably familiar with this watch. This is a really popular dive watch in the watch community, mainly because it's a fan favorite for value for money in the around $1,000 to $2,000 or euro price range. Often if you ask people what kind of a watch they recommend at that price range, they'll go with the Oris Aquis. And I got this in a trade for a good price. I wasn't planning on getting this watch, but I did want to see what the fuss is all about and see what kind of quality Oris provides. I have to say, for being such a substantial watch, this actually is possible to pull off with a sub 7-inch wrist like mine, mainly due to the curved LUGS and the integrated bracelet. But it is a big watch nonetheless. It is okay for my wrist, but for my taste it's a little bit clunky and big, so I'm not planning to hold on to this for a long time, but still it was a positive surprise that it wears so well on a small wrist. Here's how the watch wears on my sub 7-inch wrist, 6 3/4 inches to be exact, and well, it'll probably end up looking pretty large on camera, but believe me, it's actually wearable on a wrist like mine. It has a really substantial bracelet, so if you're getting this watch, be prepared for it being a big presence on the wrist. As I mentioned, the curving lugs do help to make the watch sit more slim on my wrist. However, for my taste, it's a little bit clunky, so I'm going to be selling this watch and getting something a little bit smaller instead. But there's no reason for someone with a slimmer wrist not to at least try it, because I think it will surprise you a bit with its wearability. This is the older version of the Aquis, which and they look pretty much the same, but they do have some differences. One of the big differences is the bracelet on this older version is a lot thicker and more substantial, with ridges on the outer links here, and the hands are different to the newer version, and also the case size is 0.5 millimeter smaller on this one. There are some subtle differences on the dial also. The new version says Oris at the 12 o'clock position. This says Oris and underlined with automatic, but that's pretty much it. They both have the same movement as far as I'm concerned, which is the 733, if I'm not mistaken, by Oris, which is based on the Sellita SW200, which is at 28,800 beats per hour movement. 26 joules, 1 joule more than on the ETA 2824, which it is a practical clone of. Oh yeah, and it has a power reserve of 38 hours, so pretty basic Swiss automatic movement. Okay, so what kind of a watch are you getting for your money? Well, this is a 300 meter water resistant dive watch, screw down crown, hacking hand winding movement with a date function with quick set, high beat movement, as mentioned, a substantial case and bracelet, ceramic 120 click bezel with really substantial action. I have to say, even a little bit too loud for my taste, but from my experience, this is by far the most high quality bezel that I have handled, at least in my personal watch collection, but that's comparing to Seiko's and Orient's. So dimensions. Diameter of this watch is 43 millimeters. Thickness is pretty standard 13 millimeters. Lug to lug is around 50.5 millimeters, so surprisingly short, and wearability is improved by these really downward curving lugs. Also, the integrated bracelet helps because it falls straight down from the lug, no protruding outwards, so that all contributes to the wearability of this relatively large watch. The case has this what many people call a kettle shape, so it's wider at the bottom and narrows a bit up to the bezel, makes the bezel really easy to grip, and yeah, that's a pretty unique case shape, and I actually like it. finishing on the case is mostly brushed. We have longitudinal brushing on the sides, and the only polished part on the case is the top of these end links and also the side of the bezel. It has a really nice, easy to grip screw down crown, and surrounding the crown is a separate crown guard with two screws. I guess you're able to separate it, but yeah, I don't know who would want to do that. Not me, at least. And the case back is brushed stainless steel also, this time in circular brushing with 6 holes for a case back opener. You can open this with a basic 3-point case back opener also, but yeah. And then you have the basic red Oris rotor there, which they use on pretty much all their automatics. Not really in my taste, but at least it's unique to Oris, so that's always a good thing, I think. Otherwise, the case back tells the specs of the watch. So 300 meters water resistant, Swiss-made Oris, stainless steel, sapphire crystal, and etc. Closer look at the dial. I really think Oris hit a home run with this design. They managed to get a pretty recognizable new design, even though it's a really classic design, but it's not really recognizable as a copy of some other brand. It's really got its own look, rugged, really simple, timeless design. So that's a big plus, because it's not easy to come up with a design that doesn't resemble another already existing watch. There's only so much you can do differently. So the coloring is on this model black. It's got a kind of matte black ceramic bezel, which is probably matte because it's also kind of brushed in a circular fashion. So I think that looks really a lot better than the really glossy ceramic bezels. I really like the look of this bezel. Gives it kind of a aluminium bezel look, so which I prefer to ceramic bezels. The dial is also black. It's not a matte black in particular, and it's not a sunburst either. It's kind of a I wouldn't say sparkly, but it has some somewhat shiny paint on it, which makes it I think really nice texture when you try to get it to react with the light. Otherwise, applied indices at the hour markers, and in between them you have a painted minute track. Gives it a really clean aesthetic. Then we have a date window symmetrically placed at the 6 o'clock position with a black date wheel. So I think that's just a spot on placement for the date wheel. Really symmetrical look. Pressure resistant 30 bar, 300 meters at the 6 o'clock Swiss made, and at the 12 o'clock Oris automatic. Pretty sterile dial. Nothing too much on it, I'd say. The hands are somewhat maybe leaf shape. Also works well in my opinion, and some kind of a lollipop hand. It's got a bluish lume which I'll show you a lume shot of. I don't think they mention anywhere what lume they use, but I think it's a BGW9. It's a okay lume, but I don't think it lasts as well as Seiko's lume, for example, but it does the job, and I really like the bluish tint, which is shown pretty correctly here on camera. It's got a lume pip at the 12 o'clock on the bezel. It's a nice touch. It's got a sapphire crystal, and it's really accurately domed and matches the bezel inserts surface pretty perfectly, so that's really flush and nicely executed there. It's got AR coating on the underside of the crystal, or inside, which is good. Sometimes the crystal just disappears, and it's a good thing, in my opinion, they don't have AR coating on the top, because from what I've heard and read, that tends to scratch and it will end up looking like a scratched crystal even though it's sapphire, so that kind of sucks. So good call by Oris there. More about the bracelet. It's an integrated bracelet, so a lug width is really not relevant here, but it's something like 12 millimeters, so the actual bracelet itself is really wide. I'd say it's something like 25 millimeters wide at these high links here. Brushed center links and polished outer links. Nicely executed machined clasp with a double push button deployant. Signed Oris clasp. It's got a diver's extension. Not that I really have a use for it, but it's proved itself useful because I have a pretty slim wrist, and if some of my friends want to try on this watch, I can just pop the diver's extension and let them try it. So that's pretty much what I use it for, but yeah, really overall a nice quality bracelet, and really solid, at least compared to Seiko's I've tried. Well, only downside with the integrated bracelet is, of course, I'm a big fan of switching straps on watches, and it's a little bit of a disappointment that I can't try different kinds of straps on this watch. You can get silicone straps and leather straps from Oris, but yeah, that's pretty much it, and they're pretty expensive and not something that I'm going to be trying, so that's the only downside in my opinion. And as I mentioned, the crown is really easy to use, and it's one of the few crowns I can actually operate with these gloves. So setting the time. Winding is a really nice and solid feel. You can even do it with the gloves on. And it just treads back like butter. So that's really nice. The movement also has a quick date switch, so it should switch right around 12 o'clock. Let's see. Starting to switch. Well, 5 minutes past around, so pretty good. Alright, that pretty much sums it up for my unboxing and review of this previous generation Oris Aquis Date. I can strongly recommend this watch, and I am impressed by its quality, even though I had high expectations. If you liked this video or found it useful, be sure to give it a like. Also subscribe to my channel Anders from Finland, and also hit the bell icon down there if you want to be updated when I have posted new content. And also I'm a really active guy answering comments, so if you have any questions, any opinions, or anything like that, be sure to write them in the comment section below and I will answer it, that's for sure. Stay tuned for more content, and yeah, thanks for watching. This has been Anders from Finland. Have a good day.